Have you ever seen a pregnant woman run barefoot into a burning car and ask for nothing in return? It sounds impossible, like something ripped from a movie script, but for Danielle Brooks, it was a moment of instinct. She didn't know the man bleeding behind the wheel of that flaming Bentley. She didn't know he was Logan Walker, a billionaire, a man shattered just hours earlier by the cruel sentence. You're sterile, no children, no legacy. She only knew one thing: someone was going to die unless she acted. What she didn't realize was that saving his life would set off a chain of events neither of them could escape. A twisted past, a hidden threat, and a connection so powerful it would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, fate, and what it means to protect someone you just met. Stay with me, because what starts as a fiery rescue becomes a story of redemption, trust in two souls who were never supposed to meet, but maybe always meant to save each other. Daddy, she tried to push me into the pool. 6-year-old Emily Whitaker's voice was barely a whisper. Her hands clutched her stuffed elephant as she stood in the doorway of her father's sleek home office, her green eyes wide haunted. David Whitaker, a self-made tech millionaire, looked up from his laptop, the color draining from his face. He pushed his chair back slowly, as if afraid any sudden movement would make her disappear. What did you say, sweetheart? Emily stepped forward, her voice trembling now. Vanessa. She grabbed my arm. She said I should learn to swim better, and then she pushed me. The words punched the air out of David's lungs. He had built a life around protecting his daughter since losing his wife 2 years earlier. He thought Vanessa Stone, his fiancée, was the missing piece of their family, an educated, composed woman who seemed to adore children. But now, staring at the bruises Emily revealed on her arm, 5 fading fingerprints etched in yellow and purple. David's heart cracked with confusion. When did this happen? He asked softly. Yesterday, when you were on the phone with the people from Germany. Miss Rachel saw it too. She came around the corner and Vanessa let go really fast. David's mind raced. Rachel Myers, the new caregiver he'd hired just a week ago, had seemed warm, observant. She had no reason to lie. But Vanessa? No, he couldn't imagine her doing something like that. Could he? Still, he needed answers. Proof. And above all, he needed to keep Emily safe. The next morning, the house looked picture perfect. Vanessa moved through the kitchen in her designer robe, humming as she blended her daily green smoothie. She set a stack of blueberry pancakes in front of Emily with theatrical flourish. I made your favorite, she said sweetly. Emily mumbled a thank you, barely glancing up. She only pushed the food around with her fork. David, watching from across the table, couldn't ignore the way Emily leaned ever so slightly away from Vanessa, her body small and rigid. You're not eating again, Vanessa said, brushing hair from Emily's face. Growing girls need fuel. I'm okay, Emily murmured, her voice tight. David cleared his throat. Rachel's coming to walk Emily to school today. The moment he said it, Emily visibly relaxed. Her shoulders dropped, and for the first time in days, she took a real bite of pancake. Vanessa smiled tightly. I don't think we need Rachel this morning, she said lightly. It's nice out. Emily and I could walk together, just us girls. David studied her. The suggestion felt strategic. I think Rachel's expecting it. Let's not change plans last minute, he replied. Vanessa's eyes narrowed only for a second, but the mask returned just as quickly. Of course, darling. Whatever you think is best. Later, after Rachel arrived and walked Emily to school, David called her aside. Rachel, I need to ask you something. About the pool. Rachel hesitated only briefly. Mr. Whitaker, I didn't want to cause alarm, but yes, I saw something yesterday. Vanessa was holding Emily's arm too tightly. Her face was furious. When she saw me, she smiled like nothing happened. David's blood turned cold. Did Emily say anything to you? She said her arm hurt and that Vanessa told her to stop acting scared or she'd have something real to cry about. David swallowed the bile rising in his throat. Thank you for telling me. That night, long after Emily had gone to bed, David sat awake in his office. He pulled up his security system and scrolled through the past day's footage. His heart pounded. And then he saw it. Vanessa, her hand wrapped around Emily's small arm. Her voice captured faintly by the hidden mic, cold and sharp. You better stop whining or you'll end up like Joshua. Joshua. The name meant nothing to David, yet the way Vanessa said it made him shiver. As if it was a warning, a secret from another life. The next day he dug deeper. Old emails, background checks. Nothing unusual until he remembered the joint insurance paperwork Vanessa had filled out. Using her social security number, David reached out to a friend in law enforcement. What came back stunned him. There was no Clara Stone. The identity belonged to someone else. Vanessa's real name was Vanessa Manning. She had a sealed record in Oregon, allegations of child endangerment, a restraining order, and the most chilling detail of all, a 7-year-old boy named Joshua Fields who had drowned in a pool while in her care. Ruled an accident, but the case had raised suspicions. Now it all made sense. The gentle smile, the calm expertise, the calculated charm. Vanessa had fooled him, and he had brought a predator into his home. But not anymore. David set the trap. He told Vanessa he had to leave town for an emergency board meeting in Chicago. In truth, he was watching from his office, monitoring hidden cameras newly installed in the house. Rachel was briefed. Detective Ramirez was on standby. At first, Vanessa kept up appearances. She played board games with Emily, laughed, cooked pasta. But at 11:30 a.m., everything changed. "Listen to me, you little brat." Vanessa hissed, her hands gripping Emily's shoulders tightly. "Your precious Rachel isn't coming today. I told her you're sick, and now we're going to have a little talk." Emily whimpered, "I want my daddy. He's not here, and when he comes back, you'll tell him we had a lovely time, or I'll make sure you disappear, just like Joshua did." David watched horrified as the woman he had once trusted leaned in, whispering unspeakable threats to his child. He grabbed his keys, raced through red lights, and promised himself one thing. He would never ever doubt Emily again. I'm truly sorry we have to pause the story here, but sometimes the most powerful moments deserve to breathe. If you were David, would you believe your child immediately or wait for proof? And do you think Emily's instincts saved both their lives? Tell us in the comments, what country are you watching from? If this story touched you, please tap the heart and give this video a like. It means the world to us. Danielle Brooks had faced a lot in her 35 years abandonment debt. The harsh stares of people who thought pregnant teachers were cautionary tales, but nothing had prepared her for sitting across from Logan Walker in a quiet midtown cafe. He wore a simple black sweater, no tie, no entourage, no billionaire pretense, but his presence filled the room. And those eyes, cold steel that somehow held sorrow behind the sharpness, locked onto her like she was the only person left in the world. "Thank you," he said softly. "You saved my life. I owe you more than you can imagine." Danielle sipped her lukewarm coffee, watching him. "You don't owe me anything. Anyone would have stopped." Logan tilted his head. "You ran barefoot, bleeding into a burning car. That's not just anyone." She said nothing, because what could she say? That for a moment, holding a stranger in her arms as flames lit the night, she felt like she was holding someone meant to be in her life. That didn't make sense, so she stayed quiet. Instead, she asked, "Why did you want to find me?" Logan didn't blink. "Because ever since I woke up, I haven't been able to forget your face. You didn't even want to be thanked. You just vanished." "Who does that?" She looked away. "People who aren't looking to be seen." That answer hit Logan harder than he expected. It reminded him of something his mother once whispered before she died. "Not everyone wants to be rescued, Logan. Some just need to be believed in." He changed the subject. "Your twins, when are they due?" 6 weeks, she replied. "Doctors say they're stubborn," already turning sideways. Logan smiled faintly. "Sounds like fighters." Danielle nodded. "They have to be." But just as the air between them was beginning to soften, Danielle's phone buzzed. A text. She glanced at the screen. Her breath hitched. "What is it?" Logan asked. Her hand tightened on the phone. I have to go." She stood abruptly, but he rose with her. "Danielle, wait. Is something wrong?" She looked into his eyes, and for a split second, the strong woman who ran into fire vanished, replaced by a flicker of fear. "This was a mistake," she said. "I shouldn't have come." Then she rushed out. Logan stood frozen, watching the door swing shut behind her. Back in her apartment, Danielle locked the door, pulled down the shades, and sat in the dark. Her phone was still in her hand. The message glared at her like a curse. He's asking questions. Better hope he doesn't find out the truth. There was no name attached, but she didn't need one. She recognized the threat, and she knew who sent it. The twins kicked inside her. Her hand went to her belly. "I won't let him hurt us again," she whispered. What Logan didn't know, what no one did, was that Danielle wasn't just a woman with a strong heart. She was a woman with a past that had nearly destroyed her once. 3 years earlier, she'd been engaged to a man named Marcus Hale, a wealthy developer with charm and cruelty in equal measure. He'd broken her down, made her doubt herself, and when she finally escaped, she did so with nothing except a positive pregnancy test. Marcus never knew about the twins. She vanished before he could, but now somehow he knew she was in Atlanta. And worse, he might know about Logan. Logan. She didn't know why she cared what he thought, but the idea of him finding out about Marcus from anyone other than her made her chest tighten. The next morning, Logan was already outside her apartment building. "I had your address, remember?" he said when she opened the door, eyes wide in disbelief. "You can't just show up like this. I had to make sure you were okay." Danielle hesitated, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. Inside, Logan noticed the shades were drawn, the security locks double-checked. Fear clung to the air like smoke. "You're not just scared, you're being watched," he said quietly. She exhaled sharply. "You're not wrong." And then, against every instinct that told her to stay quiet, Danielle told him the truth. About Marcus. About how she fled. About the message. And about the twins. When she finished, Logan didn't speak for a moment. His eyes were unreadable. "Are they his?" he asked, voice flat. "No," Danielle said softly. "They're mine." She didn't know him that explanation, but she gave it anyway. Logan nodded. "Then they're not his either. He has no claim." "You don't understand. He's powerful. Dangerous." "So am I," Logan said. Something about the way he said it made her believe him. She looked at him, then really looked, and saw not the billionaire from the news, but the man who almost died, the man she pulled from the fire, the man who looked at her, not with judgment, but something that felt dangerously close to protection. "I don't need saving," she whispered. "I know," he replied, "but I think we both do." "I'm sorry to interrupt here, but this is where everything begins to unravel in ways neither of them could imagine. Would you have trusted Logan enough to tell him the truth? And do you think it's possible to protect someone you just met from a danger that never really left? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and if this chapter hit you hard, please give it a like and share your thoughts. Every bit of support helps us keep telling these powerful stories. The night Danielle told Logan everything, something between them shifted. Not like a spark, but like a thread pulling taut, connecting two people who were never supposed to meet, but now couldn't seem to let go. Logan didn't offer shallow comfort. He didn't tell her everything would magically be okay. Instead, he listened, really listened. And when she finished, he simply said, "You're not alone anymore." For someone who had lived in fear for 3 years, those 4 words hit deeper than any grand gesture ever could. But Marcus Hale wasn't the kind of man who let the past go. 2 days later, Danielle received another message, this time with a photo. Her walking out of the coffee shop with Logan, the caption, "So this is who you replaced me with." She didn't answer. She didn't cry. She went straight to Logan's penthouse. "You said I wasn't alone," she said. "So don't let me handle this alone." Logan looked at the photo. His jaw clenched, but his eyes remained calm. "We do this my way," he said. "No threats, no fear, just truth." What followed was a series of calls, meetings, and legal action so swift it made Danielle dizzy. Logan brought in his legal team, hired private security for her apartment and the school, and through contacts in the press, he released a quiet but clear statement. There will be no tolerance for intimidation against any woman, especially the mother of children not yet born. Marcus tried to retaliate. He filed a lawsuit claiming one of the twins might be his. The DNA test destroyed that claim instantly. Danielle stood strong through it all, not because she was fearless, but because for once she had someone beside her who didn't want to fix her, only stand with her. But the real test came the night her water broke 6 weeks early in the middle of a thunderstorm. She called Logan, not an ambulance. He got there in under 10 minutes. By the time they arrived at the hospital, she was shaking breath, ragged contractions close together. She gripped his hand and said, "If anything happens to me, you find someone who sees them the way I see them." Logan's voice cracked. "Oh, don't you dare say that. They're the best thing I've ever done." "No," he said softly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "You are." Hours passed. The storm raged outside as doctors rushed in and out. Danielle had lost too much blood. The twins, tiny and screaming, were rushed to NICU. Logan paced the hallway with a fury he'd never felt, helpless for the first time in his life. Then the doctor stepped out, exhaustion lining his face. "She made it," he said. Logan collapsed into the nearest chair. For the first time since the crash, he wept. Days later, Danielle finally got to hold her sons. They were perfect, fragile but strong, just like her. Logan stood nearby, silent. "You want to hold him?" she asked, lifting the smaller twin toward him. He froze. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "He likes stubborn men. Kicks like one too." Logan sat beside her, cradling the baby like the most fragile thing in the world. His hands, once used to signing billion-dollar contracts, trembled. He looked at Danielle, emotion choking his voice. "I thought I'd never have this, never deserve this." "You don't have to deserve it," she whispered. "You just have to show up for it." And he did. Over the next few months, Logan bought a modest house in the West End, not a mansion, but a home. He sold off one of his companies and helped expand Danielle's nonprofit, turning it into a statewide initiative for at-risk youth. The twins grew. Danielle healed. And slowly a family formed, not from bloodlines or expectations, but from love earned, not owed. One evening, as they sat under the porch light, watching the twins crawl on the grass, Logan reached for Danielle's hand. "I used to think legacy meant a name on a building," he said. "Now I know it's what you leave behind in the hearts of people who needed you most." Danielle smiled. "That's something worth building." He kissed her knuckles. "I still don't know what to call what we have." "You don't have to call it anything," she said. "You just have to keep showing up." And he did, over and over again. Because sometimes the fire that nearly ends everything is the same fire that forges something unbreakable. Thank you for staying with this journey. I'm sorry for pausing the story here, but I want to hear from you now. Do you believe people can find family in the most unexpected places? And if someone risked everything to protect you, would you let them in? What did you think of this story? Comment 3 if you loved it, 1 if you weren't satisfied, or 2 if it was just okay. Let us know what country you're watching from, and if this touched your heart, don't forget to tap that heart and share this with someone who believes in second chances.